one of the pieces that Glenn and I were getting close to in the discussion was the Hillary piece of this and the evidence, because they do name a couple of names in this appendix on who came up with this scam. And the name that we keep seeing over and over, as one of them at least, was Julianne Smith. Schellenberger writes Julianne. It's Julianne. He writes, the alleged creator of the plan was Julianne Smith, a Clinton policy advisor that the unclassified Durham report refers to as Foreign Policy Advisor 1. And this woman, look how happy she is. She's like, I got away with everything. I nailed it. And then Obama made me the liaison to NATO. I mean, not Obama, Biden. Like I continue to get employed by these people because all I do is sit around and do the illicit bidding of my Democrat power boss. In any event, they appear to have gotten emails about her plan from Leonard Bernardo. Okay, and just to set it up again, I mentioned this in the first hour, but this is confusing. So we're just going to do baby steps here because I know everybody's holding on by their fingertips here. Leonard Bernardo worked for the Open Society Foundation, which is the George Soros organization. Very, very, very linked to, the Democrat elite, which would include Hillary. And Leonard wasn't very careful with his emails. So the Russians were able to hack Leonard, and that's where they saw the plan. And we now have in the Durham annex, like full screen grabs of the Russian memos that the Dutch got their hands on and leaked to us, where the Russians are recounting exactly what they saw Leonard discussing about this Hillary Clinton fan and emissary, Julianne Smith, and how they were going to stop Trump, undermine Trump, but most importantly, distract from Hillary's email scandal. Do I have it right so far?
Yes, you do.
Okay, you take it from there.
Well, the first thing I have to say here, just to be careful, is that Durham, when he weighed in on whether or not these emails from this fellow with Open Society, Leonard Bernardo, he says that he believes they are likely authentic. But he also said that he thinks some of this was a composite. So basically the Russians, who presumably stole these emails, put different emails together. And it's possible in the process that Russia may have fabricated something. We just have to be open to that possibility, that in the process of putting this together, there was some Russian fabrication. But at the same time, everything that is laid out in these emails from Leonard Bernardo is exactly what happened afterwards. There was a Clinton campaign plot to frame Trump as a Russian agent, and not just through Christopher Steele, but also through the Alpha Bank scam, which someone like Jake Sullivan, who was then a top aide to Hillary Clinton, was pushing to the FBI. And that was this conspiracy theory that Trump and Russia were secretly communicating through the servers of Alpha Bank. And there was all this unusual computer traffic, which by all accounts was fabricated. And then you have also these emails talking about CrowdStrike, which is the private cyber firm that we talked about in my last appearance with you, that launched Russiagate by publicly accusing Russia of hacking the DNC. And then they came out in June 2016. And who was CrowdStrike working for? The Hillary Clinton campaign. And who did the FBI rely on, just as they relied on Christopher Steele? CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike submitted redacted reports to the FBI. CrowdStrike never let the FBI conduct its own examination of the DNC servers. And CrowdStrike repeatedly stonewalled the FBI's request to access the DNC servers. And that actually came out.
Let me just interject, because I like to keep it really simple for people. So where we are now is the FBI has been told via these leaks, our Dutch friends came to our intel services and said, yo, Hillary's got a plan. It was all laid out by Leonard Bernardo. He's talked to Hillary's people. And look, this is what they're going to do. They're going to try to smear Trump as a Russian agent. So the FBI knows all this. And then we start to get the smearing. Then it starts. Like they say, here's the Steele dossier. Trump got peed on or watched Russian prostitutes pee on each other and all this stuff. And CrowdStrike, look at this CrowdStrike document that says the Russians hacked the DNC. And rather than saying, this is part of the plan, like this is, we just got a warning this was going to happen, they swallowed it, hook, line, and sinker, that piece of it they ran with. Meanwhile, they were looking at these same reports being like, Hillary's not really behind this.
Exactly right. And it's really important that you stress the role of the FBI here and the fact that they received this warning before the FBI officially launched the Trump-Russia investigation, because another line from one of these emails is that they're relying on the FBI to, quote, put more oil into the fire that they've started by linking falsely Trump to Russia. So there was an awareness, according to these emails, that the FBI was going to do exactly what the FBI did, which is launch a baseless investigation based on a ridiculous predicate about George Papadopoulos, which makes no sense, and we all know wasn't the actual basis for this, and use the Steele dossier, funded directly by the Clinton campaign, a collection of conspiracy theories for investigative leads and for surveillance warrant applications on Carter Page. So I don't know for sure if every single word in these emails is authentic. And I want to be careful here because it just seems so perfect. And also the fact, and those of you on the right will love this, this comes from someone working for George Soros. I mean, it feels so on the nose to me. But if it truly is authentic, which Durham says it likely is, it's just more evidence of what a complete fraud this was.
So here's a quote from the Russian memo, one of them that we're now seeing. This is in the annex to the Durham report. And this is, I'm quoting here from the Russian intel document that the Dutch stole. Hopefully everybody's with us. Okay, it reads, according to data from the election campaign headquarters of Hillary Clinton, obtained via the U.S. Soros Foundation, on 26 July 2016, Clinton approved a plan of her policy advisor, they call her Juliana Smith, to smear Donald Trump by magnifying the scandal tied to the intrusion by the Russian special services in the pre-election process to benefit the Republican candidate. As envisioned by Smith, raising the theme of Putin's support for Trump to the level of the Olympics scandal, which appears to be a reference to Hillary's email scandal, would divert the constituents' attention from the investigation of Clinton's compromised electronic correspondence. And they go on from there. There's another one. They write, this is a July 25th, 2016 email from Leonard Bernardo. It doesn't say to whom, but that's where they say the thing about the FBI will put more oil into the fire of the plan to tie Trump to Putin. Bernardo later said something like, I don't know if that sounds like me, but didn't deny it explicitly. And it seems pretty clear he was hacked by the Russians.
Well, he definitely was hacked by the Russians because Durham confirmed some of the emails as being authentic. He just left open the possibility that, he couldn't confirm everything, but he did find identical language.
Let me guess. The most damaging ones to Hillary, he's not sure. Those might not be real. It's like Joy
Fair
Reid
enough.
and her blog bashing the gays. The most incendiary, those don't look like me. That's where the hacker got in. The rest is fine. Keep going.
Fair enough. And Julianne Smith, the aforementioned foreign policy advisor who's said to be the originator of this idea of the smear campaign, she also said that she couldn't rule out that maybe somebody else had proposed it, that someone else had discussed something along those lines. And again, it's exactly what they did. I mean, Michael Sussman, who was Hillary Clinton's attorney for Perkins Coie, he hired CrowdStrike. He encouraged CrowdStrike to go. He connected basically CrowdStrike with Ellen Nakashima of the Washington Post, got that story published. He then went to the FBI with the fake data about Trump and Russia communicating through a bank server. So this is these memos detail exactly what happened afterwards. So that's another reason to believe that they are authentic. But the fact that it was put in writing, if this is indeed the case, is just extraordinary. It speaks to, I think,
Leonard.
It speaks to the confidence that they had that they could get away with this. I think everyone assumed that Hillary Clinton was going to win, and so this was just part of the job. I mean, James Clapper had a line where he talked about we were working under the conditions of presuming that Hillary Clinton would be our next president. Why they all went along with this and why some were willing to put it in writing is beyond me, but it speaks to the entitlement that they had. But it makes sense that they felt that way because look at the levels at which the FBI went to advance their fraud by launching the Trump-Russia investigation to begin with and keeping it going even after Trump took office. And in fact, Andrew McCabe, who was well aware of all of this because he was briefed on it, according to the Durham Annex, what did he do in May of 2017 when Trump was in office as the president? He opened up a brand new counterintelligence investigation of Trump specifically as being an agent of Russia because Trump had recently fired James Comey. That was basically Andrew McCabe's predicate.
Sure, Andy.
Hey, can I just interject one thing?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'm so glad you have Aaron here because I don't think there's anybody with the greater mastery of the every detailed fact of this case that amazingly he retains all these years later. And there was a book, a best-selling book, number one in the New York Times bestseller list by a Guardian journalist named Luke Harding, claiming to have had smoking gun evidence of Trump and Russia collusion. Aaron interviewed him. Please go watch it on YouTube. The entire thing falls apart among the most minimal scrutiny. But I just want to add one thing about this motive. Like, why would they be so eager to blame Russia, even if they thought Hillary was going to win? I think one of the most important things to realize is that the whole Hillary faction had an extremely hawkish obsession with Russia going back years. They wanted to convince the American people that Russia was our grave enemy to justify wars of the kind we're seeing now. And so it wasn't all just about undermining Trump. It was also demonizing Russia, convincing liberals in particular that the evil to our country is Putin and Russia, and he's the reason you got Donald Trump in the first place. And I really think there's a through line between those lies that they told, those intelligence fabrications they disseminated, and a lot of the foreign policy disasters that we're seeing now with our endless involvement in this war in Ukraine and broader antagonism to a nuclear armed Russia.
It's a twofer. It's a twofer for Hillary. She accomplishes a lot of goals. There's really no downside to her, especially if the intel community will go along with it. Never mind, help her. So this is, again, back to today's news in this annex. Aaron, let me get your take on it, because this seems to, strongly suggest that the FBI, notwithstanding the warnings that she was going to do this, not only didn't dismiss it when it started happening and say, oh, this is Hillary Clinton propaganda bullshit, but joined in and were like, cool, great idea. There's a bunch in here that I don't totally have deciphered. I don't know if you have thoughts on this, but this is the Schellenberger report, which is helping us make sense of it. He writes a verified email, so something we know is a legit email, dated July 5th, 2016, sent by an unnamed Clinton foreign policy advisor. I mean, it could definitely be this Julianne, but we don't know, to campaign advisors, asked for help from the intelligence community to smear Trump. Quote, we're looking for ways to build on Franklin Foer's great and scary piece on Trump and Russia. And goes on from there about what she'd really like cooperation from them. In the sentence that follows, the Clinton foreign policy advisor appears to recognize that what she's proposing, getting people in the U.S. government's intelligence community to help the Clinton campaign, is illegal. She wrote, I imagine the U.S. State Department's Bureau of Intelligence Research, or intelligence community types, might also have some insight. Obviously need to be a bit careful here, but eager to get specifics of details. Schellenberger, the outreach from the Clinton campaign to the intelligence community appears to have continued through July. Let's see, and then he goes on from there about the communications between them. But the Clinton campaign seemed to have so much hubris, Aaron, that they were openly saying we need to reach out to the IC to make sure they work with us on this.
Well, that makes sense, and that tracks with what we know. It was previously confirmed that in early July, Victoria Nuland, who was a senior State Department official under Obama and then under Biden, that she approved the visit of an FBI agent to go to Rome, which required her approval because of her position in the State Department, to go meet with Christopher Steele. And it's at that meeting, this is July 5th, that Christopher Steele hands over the Steele dossier. So at that point, you have a State Department, a senior State Department official, this is July 5th now, communicating with Christopher Steele and receiving his conspiracy theories, which were then disseminated into the FBI. So that makes sense that at that early stage, you have people talking about, communicating and collaborating with their friends in the State Department, because it was already happening at the behest of Victoria Nuland.
Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they are moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. And Birch was an advertiser on this show 12 months ago. If you had purchased then, you'd be 40% richer today. Now's the time. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by burying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold so easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold is going to send you a free info kit on gold. Look into it, see if it's right for you. There's no obligation, just useful information to help you make a decision. With an A+ rating, with a Better Business Bureau, and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.